Hopefully we get cross-examination.
Please be seated.
That would be amazing. I know y'all are ready for it. Nah,
All right,
Ice,
Mr.
run me my
Brennan?
check. I'm ready. Here we go with Cross. Shout out to Ice.
Dr. Rentschler, facts matter, don't they?
They do, yes, sir.
You've said it many, many times. Facts matter. Isn't that correct?
I think it was details, but facts matter too.
Do details matter, doctor?
They do.
They're critical, aren't they?
If you want to prove that something happened a certain way, they're critical, yes, sir.
When you were talking to the jury and giving opinions about where Mr. O'Keefe might have fell or not fell, you were discussing where Mr. O'Keefe was lying on the side of the yard, weren't you?
Where he came to rest?
Came to rest.
Well, approximately, we don't know the exact position, but yes.
You said 10 to 20 feet, didn't you?
I believe so, yes.
You said that 3 times, 10 to 20 feet. Do you
Yeah.
think Mr. O'Keefe was 20 feet from the roadway?
Well, I think he's maybe 10 feet, but 20 feet is from, if you're hit by the car, you need some distance to travel. He couldn't travel just horizontally, or perpendicularly. So it would be at least 10 to 20 feet if you look at the total distance.
You have no idea where the point of impact was in this collision, do you?
Nobody does.
I'm asking you, not nobody.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
So go ahead and ask the
You,
question.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Dr. Rentschler, before this jury, have no idea where the point of impact was of this collision, do you?
That's correct. There's no evidence.
Play exhibit
Right, and so
2,
what we
please.
have ultimately is that there is
You
no
were giving your
evidence.
estimate
No.
10 to 20 feet, Dr. Rentschler. Did you ever see this photograph before or part of this video?
I'm sure I have.
Well, when you say you're sure you have, are you guessing or have you seen it or not seen it?
I'm sure I've seen this before, yes.
So you've seen this before.
Yes.
And when you looked at this video, did you look at the street and look at the area where Mr. O'Keefe was?
Sure.
Come on, Hank.
Yes.
You got this.
Sure?
Yes.
20 feet, Dr. Rentschler?
The way I explained it to you, yes, sir. 10 to 20 feet.
Details matter, don't they?
They certainly do, yes,
You
sir.
take that down, please. Did you speak to anybody today before you testify about Dr. Welcher's testimony in court?
I did not today, no, sir.
Before today, did you speak to anybody about Dr. Welcher's testimony?
I did not, no, sir.
At any point, did anybody discuss certain issues with you today that they said would be particularly important?
I don't believe so, no, sir.
Here we go. Who did you ride with on the way in? Where did you stay? Did you meet with the defense at their hotel? Did you have McDonald's this morning? I know I had somebody follow you. Was there anyone sitting with you while you had coffee? Dr. Rentschler, these are important things.
When
Here we
you
go.
began your testimony yesterday, before you even finished your credentials, you began talking about your work with the NHL and how important it was to use a 50% hybrid 3 dummy. Do you remember that testimony?
I did, yes, sir.
And you hadn't even finished your credentials yet. Was it brought to your attention that there was an issue in the testing because you or Dr. Wolf or you and Dr. Wolf chose to use a 50% dummy?
Not at all, no, sir.
In your preparation for your testimony, was it discussed at all that at the beginning you should get ahead of the issue and talk about the 50% dummy?
I didn't know it was an issue, no, sir.
Well, you know that the 50% dummy represents somebody who's 5'9", correct?
Approximately, yes, sir.
Approximately 173 pounds.
171, 172, somewhere around there.
And Mr. O'Keefe, how much did he weigh?
216, I believe.
How tall was he?
He was 73 inches, I believe.
So that is not a representative height and weight from Mr. O'Keefe, is it?
That height and weight, no, sir.
And so if you were making
Aperture
projections or
moved this- used the
analysis
same
based
way.
on limb weights, they would be inaccurate if you didn't make adjustments, correct?
Well, they would certainly, the force on the limb would be less if you use a lighter limb. So if Mr. O'Keefe is heavier than the hybrid 3, and I use a hybrid 3, the forces I calculate would be an underestimate of the actual force acting on his body.
If you didn't make an adjustment, but you relied on the numbers from the test 3, the hybrid 3 dummy, ultimately the conclusions would be off, wouldn't they?
They would be an underestimate. Yes, the actual forces would be higher.
And so did you
Great
make
point.
any conclusions, or did you know that when Dr. Wolf did his tests using the hybrid 3 dummy, he didn't make any adjustments?
What do you mean? What adjustments would he make? You get the acceleration, but the acceleration's not going to change, and that's what we utilize. Then you can scale the weight of the body, but I'm not sure what he would have made adjustments for.
When you looked at the ratio of force and mass, if you use a lighter weight, the mass changes, doesn't it?
If you use a light, sure, yes.
Right. And that changes the force equation, doesn't it?
That can, yes.
And so when you were discussing yesterday at the beginning of your testimony about the 50% dummy, had that issue been raised with you?
No, sir, it had not.
You had testified before, hadn't you?
In this case?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And you knew there was a sequestration order?
Prior?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't discuss the case with anyone, no, sir.
Well, you didn't discuss it with anybody, you said?
I did not, no.
Before you testified last year, you were receiving information from your employer about issues and testimony in the case.
The party that retained us told us things. I didn't break any sequestration. They were the ones in contact with the court. So it was my assumption that whatever they were telling me was allowed by the court. They were the client. I didn't discuss anything with them or tell them anything. But yes, they told us certain things.
Before you testified under oath last year, you were getting updates from your employer about details of this case, weren't you?
Maybe we can approach briefly.
Sidebar number 5. So we're trying to discredit him based on a sequestration order. All right, we'll let it play out. Let me skip ahead here. Give me 1 second, guys. Here we go.
Before you testified last year, you were receiving information, not from the defense, from your employer, about other witnesses' testimony during the event, weren't you?
I don't know if they told us about witness testimony. They told us about certain evidence. I had no contact with the court, with the prosecution, with the defense. I had no idea what was going on. We were retained by a certain organization, and they contacted the court. They were in talks with the court about, I guess, what we could or couldn't do. Anything I got was from that organization.
The jury doesn't care about this. Kel Bell, you think the jury cares? He's there on the stand. The judge allowed it. We don't care what happened before that. Let's be real. Didn't really care about Shannon Burgess's CV. I don't care what happened before this man got on the stand.
118, line
What is he
15.
saying now?
Did you testify under oath that they did inform me, yes, about testimony and situations and events that came forth in the event that I was not aware of?
I don't know. They told us about evidence. I don't know if it was specific to who testified to what, but they told us certain
Thank you,
things. certainly,
Kel Bell.
yes.
The jury does not care.
What I just said to you, are those your words, sir?
I have no idea. I mean, if that's what's in the record, I assume it is.
Would you agree it certainly helped you prepare?
It helped me prepare.
Yes.
It didn't make a difference to my analysis or conclusions.
Thank you. Exactly. And the jury sees that. Dude, we have eyes, Hank. Can we focus on the data, as you like to say? Can we focus on the high definition 4K video of a arm actually being hit at 15, 24, 29 miles an hour and what that looks like, and you combine that with your story with Aperture's own testing, and we can see we're not dumb, dude. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up. It's not.
Made no difference at all?
It did not, no, sir.
Would you
Wasting the
agree it
court's
helped you
time.
understand what was going on during the trial?
I don't think it made a difference at all. No, it doesn't change the facts that I evaluated or the analysis I conducted or the conclusions I came to.
And nor should
And
it.
so as you sit here today, you are denying that that information certainly helped you prepare.
Yes.
How did it help me prepare? It didn't change the opinions I offered. It didn't change what was in my report or what I'm opining to or testifying to today. It hasn't changed anything I've ever testified to.
Not to mention that Aperture, and I keep pausing this because I can't stand these stupid questions. Not to mention that Aperture, they had a wealth of information about what happened. Why do you think they were able to, quote unquote, recreate what went down at the scene? Because they told him, hey, here's where John was standing. Hey, here's what we think happened. Let's come up with these theories. Let's come up with these hypotheses about what happened to John O'Keefe. And let's just say, hey, Aperture, let's just say he was standing here and he might have had a glass in his hand because there was a straw over there and there's broken glass, right? Yeah, sure. Put that together for me and let me know what you guys come up with.
I'm going to ask you a very specific question.
I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna relax. I'm sorry.
So just go ahead and ask the question.
Are you denying that receiving that information certainly helped you prepare?
Honestly, I can't remember. It didn't change my opinion. I don't see how it would help me prepare. I remember there was evidence about trace DNA found that we didn't know before. That didn't change my opinion then. It doesn't change my opinion now. It doesn't have anything to do with my opinion.
Details matter, right, sir?
Details can matter.
Details matter, so let's talk about details.
Sure.
Are you denying that receiving that information certainly helped
I'm
you
trying to
prepare?
hold back, y'all.
I'm going to allow it.
Yeah, I don't think that it did. It's been a year, but certainly it didn't change any of my opinions or what I opined to. It didn't change anything with my testimony.
I'm going to ask you one more time. I'll ask you a different question. Receiving that information from your employer, are you denying it helped you understand what was going on during the trial?
I'm going to allow that.
I don't even think that it did. I don't understand that. I understood what was happening. I understood what the theory was.
Just say
So
no.
saying that there's trace DNA doesn't change anything. Doesn't affect what my understanding of the trial was or what was happening or what allegedly occurred.
Just say no, Dr. Rentschler. Let's keep it moving.
When
Please
you
skip
were
through this
traveling
question.
out to testify last year, you had
No, I'm gonna hold
phone
back.
conversations with the defense, didn't you?
I think I had like 2 phone conversations, 2 or 3.
So that sounds like a yes, you did.
Yeah, there was one right before my qualification, my voir dire, where I talked to Mr. Jackson, and that was it. Other than that, I think it was just planning and scheduling.
Was there any discussion on how you could portray yourself as independent?
Oh my God.
I don't believe there was.
You say you don't believe.
Yeah, there was no need to.
That's not the question. Details matter.
I'm muting
Was there
myself.
any attempt
So the objection's sustained. I'm going to strike that, folks, okay? Questions, Mr. Brennan?
Was there any attempt in your conversations to portray yourself as independent as far as your arrangements were concerned in coming out here?
No, I don't think so, because there was no need to, because it was independent.
When you had conversations with the defense, did they offer to give you transportation assistance getting here?
They provided a ride to and from the airport, yes.
And did you tell the defense that you prefer to take an Uber so that it would appear independent to a jury?
No, because I didn't take an Uber. I took their ride. If I wanted to appear independent, then I would have taken an Uber.
I told you guys. I told you he was gonna bring up. I told you he was going to bring up, who did you ride with? Where'd you eat breakfast? Did you go to the hotel and talk to them? Collusion. Let's forget the fact that John O'Keefe most likely went into a house and all these people that were at the house except for one testified that they didn't see him. Let's forget the fact that magically the police officer that lived across the street didn't get his Ring camera investigated, and they just let that go because we didn't want to see what happened. Let's focus on how this man got to the courtroom. I said I was going to mute myself. I can't do this. We're at 5 sidebars, y'all.
Conversation about.
And that's just I'm prolonging it. I got to mute myself.
It didn't even cross my mind, sir.
I can't.
And after you testified, did you stay independent?
What do you mean independent?
Well, did you have any bias more in you?
Any bias?
Bias, yes.
What do you mean? Did I have any bias?
Well, after you testified, where did you go?
Well, I was waiting for my ride, and to get back to the airport, they had to take other people, and so they were having a lunch afterwards, and they said, come have a sandwich, and then your ride will take you to the airport. So I went, and I had a ham sandwich.
Had a ham sandwich. Did you testify at some point that after you had something to eat, you just stood in the corner?
I did. I sat at a table, ate, and then went over and literally stood in the corner waiting for my ride.
When you sat at the table and eat, did you just eat your ham sandwich, or did more go on?
I ate. People were talking. I really didn't talk much at all.
Did you listen?
Well, certainly, I'm sure I did, sir.
Did you laugh along?
I assume if something funny was said, I probably laughed.
Did you talk about your testimony?
I don't, at this point, I don't even remember.
Let me alert you to something. When you were there at the luncheon, did you see a camera crew
I believe I did, yes, sir.
filming and documenting, right?
There were a lot of cameras, yes.
You know that you might have been on some of that footage?
That's fine. I could care less.
Okay. So do you think maybe you were talking about the case and their answers and laughing it up a little bit?
I have no idea. Possibly.
You were involved in conversations with the defense attorneys, were you?
What do you mean conversation, sir? I had just gotten done testifying. I was having lunch. Whatever was spoken about at the table, I'm sure I heard.
You know what a conversation is when someone speaks to you and you answer.
Sure.
Did you have conversations with some of these folks?
Sir, I can't remember conversations I had last week, let alone a year ago. So I probably did, but I have no clue
Do you remember
what we would have talked about.
Do you remember accolades you
Might have been receiving because you had given certain answers to the then prosecutor on the case and laughing about the answers?
I have no idea.
You don't remember?
I can't remember last week what I had for lunch last Tuesday. How would I remember a conversation from over a year ago?
Do you remember when you were having conversations with some of these folks and you were laughing about when the prosecutor asked you about other evidence like DNA? You had a response, well, the physics doesn't change. Remember?
I don't specifically remember that, no, sir.
How long were you at the table eating your ham sandwich with the folks there enjoying the event? How long do you think that went on for?
I honestly don't know. 10 minutes? How long does it take you to eat a ham sandwich? 10 minutes?
And after you finished your ham sandwich and then you told us you stood in the corner, you got a ride back to the airport?
I did, yes, sir.
Yeah. After you got back to the airport, ultimately your company billed the defense
For your time preparing and traveling and testifying?
I believe they did.
Well, you wrote your bills down, didn't you? You wrote your time down?
Well, I don't know who gets billed to it. I think it was actually, I wrote my time down and it was the same time code for the original employer that we had. I'm not involved in billing. I don't know who the bill goes out to. I just put my time in and do my work.
Do you know that the defense paid that bill?
I have no idea if they paid it or not.
And then now you have a new contract with the defense. Or I should say you have a contract with the defense, don't you?
I assume Arca does. Again, I'm not involved in that. I don't do any part of the financials. I just do my job.
Do you keep your billing?
I enter my billing every week, yes.
Do you know how much you've been paid so far in this case?
I haven't been paid anything. I'm a salaried employee for ARCA. I have no idea how much ARCA's been paid.
How much has ARCA been paid because of your work so far?
I have no idea. I'm not involved in the financials, sir.
You have no idea how much time, how much compensation your company's going to get for the work that you've done and continue to do on this case? You have no idea.
Yeah, it's not my concern. It's not my department, so I don't.
Is that that's a no?
That's a no, sir.
Now, when you communicated with the defense, you texted, didn't you?
When?
At any point.
There were some texts, yes.
And at some point, there was a court order for you to bring a copy of your text?
I believe so, yes.
But when you say you believe so, details matter.
Yeah.
Do you know whether there was a court order for you to bring your text?
I believe there was, yes.
Did you comply with that court order?
I complied with, yes, with whatever I had.
Did
Yes.
you have any of the text messages?
I don't believe so.
What happened?
Well, there were like 2 text messages about where I could get my ride and what time. And so after that day, like I do many times, I'd probably erase those texts.
When you say probably, did you delete the text that you had with the defense last year during the trial?
Again, I had like 2 texts about scheduling, and I'm sure I deleted them like sometime around that time, like I do with most texts.
Did you ever use Signal?
I did not, no, sir.
Why not?
I have no need to.
Why would you have a need to?
I'm going to allow it.
I wouldn't have a need to. That's why I said I don't use it.
What's Signal for?
It's for, I think, for encrypted messages.
Do any of your colleagues use Signal to have conversations with their clients?
I'm going to allow that you're aware.
I have no idea what my fellow employees or cohorts do.
One of your fellow employees is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Wolf. Yeah?
Yep.
You worked very closely with him on this case, didn't you?
I've worked with him on this case, yes, sir.
And working with him on this case, were you aware of his habits, of whether or not he used encrypted apps like Signal?
This is
I'm
embarrassing.
going to allow it.
I'm not aware of Dr. Wolf's habits, no, sir.
When you
This is
worked on this
crazy.
case, when you began, you worked with a gentleman by the name of Mr. Klein?
But Scott Klein is another engineer at ARCA that worked on the case, correct?
And you worked with Dr. Wolf?
That's correct, yes.
You worked as a group?
Well, I mean, we all worked on the project together. I'm located in the Pittsburgh office, and Mr. Klein and Dr. Wolf are in the Philadelphia office, so we didn't physically work together, but we worked on the same project, obviously.
When you first began your testimony yesterday, you said that you were restrained in what you could do. Do you remember that testimony?
I do, yes.
And when you said you were restrained, were you attempting like a preemptive strike because of certain things you didn't do to try to ward off any questions about that?
Sustain.
Let me ask it this way. Were the rules different regarding your initial investigation for you as opposed to Dr. Wolf?
I don't know that they were. I don't believe they were.
Did Dr. Wolf have free reign to do whatever he wanted?
Sustain.
He can't speak to what Dr.
Were
Wolf
you
was
given
allowed-
free reign to do whatever testing you wanted?
I don't believe we were, no.
You, though, were you?
Was I?
Yes, were you given free reign to do whatever testing you wanted?
I mean, there was budgets, and we had to stay within certain values, so I wouldn't say I was given free reign because I couldn't do whatever I wanted.
Did anybody tell you what tests you could or couldn't do?
I don't think there was a list of specific tests or not, but you would discuss what would be done or what we could do and what the cost of those tests would be.
Were you free to suggest any tests that you wanted to?
I'm
This is so
assuming I could
stupid, man.
suggest whatever I wanted to, sure.
Were any of your suggestions denied?
I can't remember. I don't know that they were. I mean, what we were constrained is what the client wanted to know. And so we tailored our tests to do that and tried to keep the budget and the cost of what we did in our analysis down for that very purpose.
Could you have suggested crash tests?
Probably could have suggested whatever I want.
Did you suggest crash tests?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, it might have been brought up, but pretty sure that would not have been within the budget, so.
I want you to be detailed. I don't want you to guess.
So without that preamp, go ahead and just ask the question, please.
Did you suggest doing crash tests last year?
I can't remember. We obviously didn't, but I don't know if that was brought up or not.
Do you, since your memory is difficult,
Sustained. Okay.
Oh boy, Hank he's really doing it now. He just got work. I mean, he was fine with direct testimony, but his cross examinations are terrible. Absolutely horrible. It's embarrassing. So confused.
to remember things, do you write them down?
That's one of the ways you can do it, sure.
Do you do it? Do you write down things so you don't forget?
Depends what it is.
Okay. You provided a CV, which is a resume.
That's correct, yes.
Resume outlines your education,
Yes, sir.
areas of specialty,
Correct.
and then it highlights your accomplishments as far as the focus of your specialty or the focus of your profession, what you like or what you do a lot, right?
Some of it, yes, sir.
So, for example, you have a number of publications that are peer-reviewed.
Correct.
And peer-reviewed publications mean that you've written something that's been evaluated and considered by other experts in the industry and have been adopted or recognized, correct?
Well, that it's been published, yes, sir.
You have a long list of peer-reviewed articles dating back to 2003. Is that correct?
Yeah, as I said yesterday, most of my peer-reviewed articles are all written when I was in graduate school. Correct.
Have you had any peer-reviewed articles since 2003?
Probably not. No.
And your peer-reviewed articles, 2003, deal with the evaluation of selected electric-powered wheelchairs.
That was one of them. Yes, sir.
The next one, intelligent walkers for the elderly.
Correct.
Comparison of fatigue life for 3 types of manual wheelchairs.
Yes, sir.
Evaluation of a pushroom activated power assisted wheelchair.
Correct.
Displacement between the seating surface and hybrid testing dummy during transitions with the variable configuration wheelchair.
The hybrid 3. Yes, sir.
Assessment of manual wheelchair ride.
Correct. I was looking at forces and accelerations on the body. Yeah.
Fatigue life of 2 manual wheelchair cross-brace designs.
Yes, sir.
Evaluation of selected ultralight manual wheelchairs.
Yes, sir.
Augmentation of 100 key ISO wheelchair test dummy to accommodate higher mass.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so you would agree that all of your peer review articles deal with wheelchairs?
Well, wheelchairs and the kinematics and kinetics forces associated with propelling wheelchairs and injuries associated with that. Yes, sir.
Do any of them deal with pedestrian collisions?
No, they don't.
You've written a book chapter,
Yes, sir.
Smart Technology for Aging,
Yes, sir.
and again, nothing on pedestrian accidents.
That's correct.
Expanded abstracts, you've written a few.
I have, yes, sir.
Suffice to say, dealing with wheelchairs.
And assistive technology, that's correct, yes, sir.
Any have to do with pedestrian collisions.
I don't believe so, no.
looking at your CV, you can note any area of specialty you'd like, correct?
You can put down whatever you like, I suppose. Sure.
Have you listed any
We're doing this
specialty as pedestrian collisions?
Well, not specifically. That actually falls under impact biomechanics, biomechanical injury causation. So I didn't list it specifically, but it certainly falls under the actual expertise that I perform.
Brutal. Hank has nothing. As a juror, this is what this says to me. This entire 30 minutes he's been cross-examining this guy says, guys, I got nothing. We seen the test, 4K, high def versus our blue paint, our $300,000 blue paint. Hey, I got nothing. This is embarrassing, man.